What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to talk about a little bit about breaks in snooker. So here we have what would be, for example, a 6-ball snooker layout in a pool table. Actually the world snooker championship of 6 balls is played in a table not that much bigger than this, a little bit bigger than this, and so I'm going to just quickly say what snooker is or in what it consists. So in snooker, you plan in snooker the player with the most points wins the match. And so each ball has its own value in points. So a red equals 1, yellow 2, green 3, brown 4, blue 5, pink 6, and brown and black 7. And each time you bought a red ball, you then have a free choice of buying a color ball, you know, either from the yellow to the black, you know. And so in snooker, obviously you want to put ball after ball in order to be in good conditions to win the match. Obviously it doesn't really work like that every single time, because even if you put every single ball on the table, it might not be enough to reach the punctuation of your opponent, and in that cases you kind of have to force him to commit some fouls, you know what I mean. And so if there's just like 8 or 9 point difference between his advantage and the points that are on the table, either way, I'm not going to get that much into that. I'm going to simply try to talk a little bit more about breaks. So what is a break? A break is when, for example, you keep consistently potting balls, and you can, for example, make like a break of 50 points, you know, like with a bunch of reds and color balls. Obviously it will be much rather easier if you bought high value colors like pink or black. It will be easier for you to, or at least you'll not have to put that many balls in order to reach the 50 odd points. And so you can ask yourself, when does the game end? The game basically ends when you have, for example, a 60 or 70 point leads, or for example there's like 20 or 30 points that is like the difference between your advantage and the ones that are the points that are on the table. Then the opponent will need like 6, 7, 8 snookers or falls, you know. Like a fall will mainly consist in they trying to lay some snookers, and snooker, for example, when the cue ball is like behind the brown and you can see the object ball, you know, that is like a snooker when you can see the object ball. And from here, for example, you can miss the pack, you know, you can miss the pack, and that will be a fall. If, for example, the cue ball hits the brown when you are playing red, it's like a fall of 7 points, you know. So I'm not going to get into much details, but either way, if you keep constantly potting reds after a color ball and red afterwards, and like, you know, if you keep potting balls, it'll make the game much easier. Like if you keep potting balls in a row. And the break is when you consistently pot balls, you know. So like if you consistently pot 2 reds and 2 blacks, it will be like 16 points, you know. But it has to be in a row. If you miss, the break will end, okay? So while you continuously pot balls, the break will continue. And so I'm going to try to explain some tips that I know for you to be better at, at breaks and during those breaks, and to make these breaks a lot easier. So let's get into them. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is risk. So when you attack, there is always some chance that you will concede a great opportunity for your opponent to keep scoring, If you miss and you leave that ball on, for example, if you play red and you leave that red on, then your opponent will have a great chance to score points, And so you kind of want to avoid some of that risk, and if you can avoid some of that risk in games, you'll feel much at ease, you'll not feel that stressed, because you know that you can just play for nothing. And for example, when you play a long red on a snooker table, just like this, you can kind of try to make the cue ball go like 1, 2, and then coming back down to here, and and if even if you don't watch that ball, if the red stays over there, over that side, and the cue ball over here, you basically still pretty much defend the table, unless you leave something like this as well for your opponent. But if it goes well, and if you play the shot well, but you just happen to not pot the ball, and the cue ball goes to over here, if you pot, if it lands like kind of over here, you can still play the brown into the middle, and you can try somewhat do something with that cluster of reds. You can still somewhat try to keep the break going, even if you leave like something really hard that you don't really want to risk, because for example, if there's a red on there which you are trying to play which you're trying to play at that ball, for example, if you pot that red and the cue ball lands over here, and you try to take that brown into that corner in order to play into this red, this is a risky shot, because if you miss the brown, then, and if the cue ball lands pretty nicely onto this red, you will concede a great opportunity to your opponent. So in these cases is different. Like, there are a bunch of players who much rather I prefer just try to play a snooker behind one of those free colors, However, even if you pot that ball and the cue ball goes to over here, the good thing is obviously that you're not going to be snookered, because it will be your chance to play one of those free balls. That's what you call, you can play one of those color balls at your choice, and so you're not being that bad of a situation, you know what I mean? And that's basically what kind of snooker is all about. There are players that risk a bench, and I feel that with risk, players tend to kind of a little bit more nervous when they just throw everything. There's such a biggest chance of that going wrong sometimes, And so there are a bunch of moments where I think that if you have that mentality that you're not going to leave anything, even if you miss the pot, I think that in a real game, even if it's just an amateur or a professional match, you'll feel much more relaxed, you know, or at least a little bit more comfortable. Because you just need to, you know, there's nothing to lose, and that's why in snooker, a situation like this is called a shot to nothing. Alright, let's move forward. Oh, and that's basically why, when you're playing the color ball, it's massive that you bought that ball, because if from that color ball you are trying to play it one of these reds, for example, into that corner, you know, if the cue ball is like over here, it just goes like 1, 2 cushions, 1, 2 cushions over here, how to place it. This red, if you miss that black, you will concede a massive chance to your opponent, you know, and that's why it's massive that you bought the color balls. Alright, into the breaks. Now, a lot of times during matches we'll have a bunch of occasions where you'll have like a cluster of balls, either like 4, 5, 8 balls, whatever, where you will need to open them, you know, because nothing goes on. Let's just say that nothing will pot here, okay? Let's just say that nothing will pot even in a combination of 2 reds. Let's just say that. So you want to kind of open the map with a color ball, or even if a red. You know, one thing that kind of professionals tend to do is, if you're going to open with a color ball like the black, you know, you'll go like 1 cushion and over here, you know, in this sort of line. If it catches these 2 balls, then all of a sudden you might have a decent opportunity. Either way, even if you try to open them, okay, and don't land on these 4 on these 4 reds, the objective to leave a red there while you try to open is for that exact reason. If it doesn't go well, you still have this red here in case the cue ball lands over here, okay? And so you can keep, there's much of a higher chance for you to keep the break going. And that's what it's all about, you know. Try to minimize the risk of something wrong going in the process of the break, you know. Another thing is that you can also try to open, for example, with that red. Imagine that you're playing on that red. If you play that shot with top spin, then the cue ball will go forward, a bit forward, and if the cue ball lands over here, you'll still kind of be on the black or the pink, in case, for example, the pink goes to over here, for example, you know. And so opening with a red is not that bad of an idea. There are many occasions in snooker where in a normal match with 15 balls, you know, if, for example, I meant 15 reds, for example, there will be plenty of occasions during the start of the game where they'll try to use the red to just move a little bit the back, because, for example, if this cluster was 10 reds, it's pretty hard for you to kind of develop them if they are like really tight and close, you know. And so you kind of want to try to just slowly develop the cluster if, for example, there's a ton of balls here, you know. And so this shot is pretty valid, you know, when it comes to snooker, you know. You play with topspin, you play the red into the corner, the cue ball will kind of hit these 2, and if topspin, it kind of lands over here. Alright, I'm going to just talk about one more thing, and that is balls on the cushion. Because either way, I don't want to talk for too much time. it'll take way too long. I think I'm just going to explain my view on this and we'll conclude the video. So, balls on the cushion. Well, there are many times a professional will have balls on the cushion and say where you want to say, but balls on the cushion are pretty damn hard. Like, mainly if they're like a little bit apart from the cushion, you know, a bit away, they are so tough. And so what you want to do is obviously you want to make the ball easier, and there are some ways for you to do it. You can, for example, with a color ball or with a red, try to develop that, or you can try to develop that ball, for example, into these middle pockets. Obviously, if there's a little tiny gap between the red and the cushion, I think it will make the ball a little bit more easier. If it's like bang on touching it, sometimes it's a little bit tricky because of the double touch between the cue ball and the red ball, you know. So for these cases, you kind of have to have like this angle, you know. And another thing, if you are going for the devil, you can still somewhat try to defend at the same time, because you can try to play it not as fast, and you can try to put the cue ball over this area, you know. Imagine that this red was already potted, and you could try to maybe put the cue ball at least over this area, I guess. And even if you don't pot this red, there will be a high chance that the red will probably go towards that way, you know? Go towards that way, blah blah. So, I mean, because it will just go towards the cue ball if you play the double, and when you leave it there, if it catches the bump, you know. That's the only possibility of that happening. So, yeah, I don't think there's obviously a bit of risk, but I don't think there's that much crazy risk. Obviously, everything has its own risk, and it's really up to you. Look, snooker is not all about the attack. If you don't feel comfortable with balls on the cushion, you can simply like try to defend. You can try to leave the cue ball like over there, you know, and still be defended, you know. So it's really up to you, but I'm just trying to share my view on what you can do to keep the break going, facing balls on the cushion, you know, like close to the cushion. Another thing is trying to open that red with a ball that you're playing at. So either with a color ball or either with a red. Each one have their own risks. You know, you can try, for example, to open that red with the pink, you know. You need to just have some angle. And if the cue ball lands over there, you still are in good shape to keep potting. Even if you don't land on that red, you know. In this occasion, you take that risk out of the way, because if you are playing, let's imagine, if you are playing for that red only, you know, and there's no red nearby, the pink spot or the black spot or wherever. If you don't land on that ball, then the break will end, you know. So that's why it's kind of an advantage if a red ball is kind of in a good position, considering the shot that you will play, you know. Well, I guess that you can also try to open that red with red, but I don't see that much point with it, because you are playing again like towards, you are trying to play the cue ball towards that red, so there will be a big chance that you not land exactly on either the pink or the blue, you know. So obviously it can work, but I don't know about that. I don't think it's the right way, I guess. The good thing is that if you still if you try to open that red with this red and things don't really work out, you can still end up like in a good position, like for the blue, for example. And either way, you'll still have one more opportunity to play towards that red if things really don't work out for you as well, you know. So yeah, that's just about it. I'm just a guy trying to express some opinions. Let's just face the light, yeah. I'm just a guy trying to express my opinions. You all just heard about my opinions on, you know, like on break building and tips for you to keep your break going. Just 2 or 3 normal tips. Look, I just mainly do these videos because I enjoy it, just simply record them. That's like one of the main things. And on the other side, I get to practice some English because I don't know whether I'll have to go to a job or I'll have to have like some really good English, you know. So I must like keep practicing and keep trying to share my opinions, like trying to share my opinions a lot better, you know. And I watched snooker for many years. I loved to play snooker and pool, even though I just kind of have a pool table. So yeah, I'm just trying and enjoy my life for all, you know. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying your life as well, enjoying your week, enjoy your day. I'm João Chanoca. If you want, you can leave a like on the video. If you enjoyed the video, you can subscribe to the channel and leave a like in the comments. I think I said that, yeah. You can turn your post notifications so you don't miss a video that I might post. And I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.
Did you think you could keep us out? Shut the gates, forget us now. Tides are changing. Can you hear the sound? Can't stop us now. We're not back.